Well, folks, we have made it to session 4 of the Medallion Mastery program, and we are so excited to share in this video some great results of our quilt makers as well as some 4-patches. Let's get busy. Hi, I'm Kaye England back with you again, and we had a great idea that we discussed with many of our participants about sharing with all you folks some of their work. We are seeing some of the best quilts. I am over impressed with the results of what our students are doing, and we asked them if they would mind sharing. So what you're going to get a view of now is some really wonderful results from our quilt makers. What I want you to pay attention to is the variety of colors our students are using, how some are very scrappy and some are very planned. Notice that as you look at these, some have one look, some have another look. Each one of our students is making their own quilt. They're following the pattern, of course, that goes with the Medallion Mastery, but each one of them they're putting a twist on it for their style and what they like. They're changing their cornerstones, they're changing their borders, whether they work with the stripe or not. They're doing a great mix on how they're approaching this. And what I'm so impressed with as a quilt maker myself is how they're inspiring me to want to make another one myself. So I really do think that by you seeing this, it's going to either, you're going to go, oh man, I think I want to make one of those mastery quilts myself, or even perhaps it'll impact some of your future quilts that you're going to work on. Thank them immensely for sharing all of these great quilts with you. And now we're going to get busy on today's session. Hopefully that little quilt show has inspired you to get in that closet and dig out some of your own work. We're giving them a lot of work to do in a short amount of time. We did take a little breather this last week and did a visit in my studio. So hopefully that's motivated some of you. And many of our members have also shared their own studio. And for those of you on Staycation page, we'd love to see your studio as well. So if you want to share that with us, please do so. In this session, what we're going to be talking about is 4-patches. And you'll notice as you look at this that I have already put my 4-patch border on 3 sizes of this. And this gives me an opportunity to talk to you about why I think that one of the little patch borders is one of the best things you can put on any quilt, medallion or otherwise, especially because it pulls in all of your colorations. Now, in the case of the one behind me, I have been very, very scrappy, and I have put fabrics in that do not live in my main body of my quilt. So I kind of got in my stash, sucked some more in there because I wanted a scrappier border. I am confident that we're going to see many 2-color borders because these little 4-patches like this make fabulous 4-patch borders. And you guys have heard me talk a lot about my friend Mary Ellen Hopkins. I loved it because Mary Ellen called those the Purinas, like the little checkerboard squares that goes with the Purina dog food and all of that stuff. Hey, maybe they'll send me something because I mentioned Purina. But I do absolutely love the way a patched border frames this. And you'll also notice that I did put, after my mountains, I did put a little strip, and then I'll come into my 4-patches and then I'll frame that again. Now, when I do a border like 4 patches, and even the triangle border, I really do like a frame on either side of it to kind of quiet it and rest it and give it a place to stand out so that it doesn't mush into the next pieced element. And I've done those both ways, but I find this is one of my favorite ones. Now, if you look on the table, I have added the 3 borders behind on the quilt behind me, but here's what one looks like unadded, and it is not pressed because I typically never press these elements until after they have been joined to the quilt. If you get nothing from this video, trust me in trying to do one set that you do not iron prior to attaching, because then I can move those seams in any direction I choose to move them as long as I've not inked them. And I know people go, well, I ironed it, I can re-iron it. I know you can, but every time you put that heat and mess with it, I just think you're asking for it. Now, these are squares, we're not dealing with triangles, so they're a little more forgiving. When I first start making my little patched borders, I always just start with a stack, especially if this is scrappy now. I start with a stack of lights and some darks, and I'll throw in a few mediums. I then sew X number, and I put those together in just a 2-patch. Then when I get done, I throw all my 2 patches on the table, and then I can start building my light and my dark. In building 4 patches or any kind of a patched border, whether it's 1 row, 2 rows, or 3 rows, it would be real easy for me to make this a 9-patch as well if I wanted that kind of a border, but I think I have more control over my seams when I'm building this. Now, another little tip for you is we have an even number of squares in our rows. So in other words, X number of 4 patches, X number of squares. If you end up with an even number, like 12 or 14, you're always going to end on a color that you didn't start with. So let's say you're dark light, dark light, dark light. You'll start with dark and end with light. So that means you have to kind of plan your rows if you're going to stay pure Purinas like black and white, for example. You would have to control these. So I recommend you don't make every element in that row, but that you leave a little room so that you can adjust that as you turn your corners. When it's scrappy like mine is, I don't have an issue because I've got some mediums in there and some darks in there, and I don't really care if 2 mediums touch. But if it's black, white, you aren't going to want a white sitting next to a white because it wouldn't be as attractive. This is just really a simple way to get a lot of bang for a quilt by mixing all of these scraps, and it's the easiest piecing in the world, folks, and lots of forgiveness because in the event that you didn't sew perfect, you can re-seam some of those and it will never, ever show up. Now, while we're talking about the patches, I want to share with you another little quilt. It's called Summer Garden, and it is a medallion style, and since in this program we've done log cabins, and we just did patches, so there's loads of 9 patches in this. And we've also done nothing but half squares and quarter squares as we have in this program. I love the way this goes together, and it ties into all the elements that we've already talked about. So that might be something that you'd like to take a little peek at. We want to show as many of our vintage quilts and or medallion style that's possible. Now, I have a new Block of the Month program that is in quilt shops as we speak. Now, I've told you folks, I don't ever know for sure who's got the fabric, so I always recommend that you go to your local quilt shop first and say, do you have this fabric collection? I want that indigo garden, and they will tell you. If not, do a search on the web. This is really a fabulous medallion. I had great fun making this, and it's in those blues and grays and a little bit of creamy color. And then another one that I wanted to share with you is I've got a lot of sewing time, folks, so I was able to work this one out called The Road Home. And this is a Wilmington Prints Block of the Month featuring their batiks. And this will ship to stores a little bit later, but you can view this on WilmingtonPrints.com in the event that you go, oh man, that one's calling to me. But those two are programs that you might want to take a look at. And again, they're only available through your local retailer. And as always, you know, if you like what you're seeing on these videos, we would love it if you would like, subscribe, you know, punch this, do that, do all those cute little things you're supposed to do. Then that does allow us to continue doing this, because other than those in our mastery program, these videos are free to anyone that chooses to watch them on YouTube. And you know, we got chickens to feed and goats to feed and llamas to feed, and heavens only knows what else we need to be doing. So we would love it if you would comment, share, tell your friends about it. The more the merrier. We sure do love bringing these to you, and we would love to see you share them. And we would love to hear from you about videos that you would like to see us do. In the meantime, thanks for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on a future video. Have a great day. See you later. Bye-bye.